What if the person you trusted most, the one you were about to marry, turned out to be a monster? And what if the one person who saved you from that nightmare was a complete stranger? Today, we're diving into a story of betrayal, cruelty, and redemption. It's a tale that will make you question everything you thought you knew about love and power. Before we dive in, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you never miss another story like this. Now, let's get into it. The air in the penthouse was thick with the scent of expensive roses and the quiet hum of anticipation. It was the night of the Ashford Foundation Gala, the most prestigious charity event of the year, and for Marcus Sterling, it was more than just a party. It was a statement. As the CEO of Sterling Industries, his life was a carefully curated masterpiece of power and perfection. And the centerpiece of that perfection was his fiancée, Celeste Vance. She was beauty incarnate, a socialite with a pedigree as impeccable as her designer wardrobe. Their engagement was the talk of the town, a union of two empires. Marcus glanced at a large, framed photo of him and Celeste at a glamorous event. She is stunning, but her smile doesn't quite reach her eyes. He doesn't notice. Marcus's phone buzzed. It was a text from Celeste. "On my way. The dress is a dream. Don't start the party without me, darling." He smiled. Everything was perfectly in place. The caterers were setting up the crystal, the florist was adding the final touches, and the private car was waiting to whisk them away to the gala. The only thing missing was his soon-to-be bride. In the master bedroom, Celeste, impossibly beautiful and dressed in a silk robe, stood before a giant mirror. On a mannequin beside her was the dress, a breathtaking, custom-made Valentino gown, a cascade of ivory silk and intricate, hand-sewn crystal beading. It looked like it cost more than most people's houses. Celeste was inspecting the dress with the critical eye of a jeweler examining a diamond. It was flawless. She ran a perfectly manicured finger along the delicate beading, a smug smile playing on her lips. This dress would ensure she was the undisputed queen of the gala. She thought to herself, it's not just a dress, it's an investment. The only thing more important than being seen is being remembered. And tonight, everyone will remember me. In the hallway, a nervous, young woman, Alara, dressed in a simple but neat maid's uniform, carried a heavy tray of refreshments toward the master suite. Her hands were shaking slightly. She's new, and her supervisor warned her that Miss Vance can be particular. Alara was an art student, working as a maid to pay for her tuition. She was grateful for the job, but she always felt like a ghost in this world of opulence. A nervous, invisible ghost. A loud crash came from the hallway. Alara, startled by a loud noise from the kitchen, stumbled. The tray fell. A crystal vase shattered. She gasped and whispered to herself, "Oh no, 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 no." It was a catastrophe. In her panic, she stumbled forward, desperately trying to clean up the mess. She pushed the door to the master suite open, her mind solely focused on finding a cloth to stop the spreading pool of water. In her panic, she didn't see the mannequin holding the dress. She reached for a towel on a nearby vanity. Her elbow caught the edge of the mannequin, sending it teetering dangerously. Celeste suddenly shrieked. "What are you doing?" Alara spun around. Her eyes widened in pure terror. The mannequin wobbled, crashed towards the floor, and the beautiful Valentino gown landed directly on a plugged-in curling iron on the dressing table. A sizzle, a wisp of smoke. A small, black, singed hole formed on the pristine silk. Time seemed to stop. The silence in the room was deafening. Alara looked from the ruined dress to Celeste's face, which was contorted in a mask of absolute fury. A close-up on Celeste's face showed her perfect composure shatter. Her eyes were blazing with cold, white-hot rage. It wasn't just anger, it was a sense of entitlement being violently violated. She said in a dangerously low voice, "That is a one-of-a-kind Valentino. It cost $50,000. You incompetent little wretch." Alara was frozen, her face pale. She couldn't even breathe. She stammered, "Miss Vance, I am so sorry. It was an accident. Please, I'll do anything." Celeste cut her off, asking if she thought she could fix this with her minimum wage and cheap shoes. She asked if Alara had any idea what she'd done. Celeste walked over to the ruined dress and picked it up with the very tips of her fingers, holding it away from her as if it were contaminated. She turned it over, examining the damage. Her face became even more terrifying. She said Alara had ruined her night and her presentation, and that it was unforgivable. Celeste dropped the dress and turned back to Alara. Her eyes narrowed. A cruel idea dawned on her. She picked up the curling iron from the table. It was still hot. She said with a chilling smile, "An accident? You know, in some cultures, the punishment for destroying something so valuable is equal retribution. You burned my dress, so I should burn you." Celeste took a menacing step forward, holding the curling iron out like a weapon. Alara stumbled backward until her back hit the wall. She was trapped. Alara pleaded, "Please, Miss Vance, no. I have a family. My little sister, she's sick, please." Celeste mocked her, saying, "Oh, a tragic backstory. How original. I'm sure it will make the headlines. Maid's hand maimed in freak accident. No one will even remember your name." Celeste reached out, grabbing Alara's trembling wrist. Her grip was surprisingly strong. She started to pull Alara's hand toward the glowing tip of the curling iron. Alara squeezed her eyes shut, a single tear rolling down her cheek. The heat from the iron was inches away from her skin. It was a scene of pure, unadulterated cruelty. A powerful woman, using her power to destroy someone simply because she could. The silence in the room was broken only by the sound of Alara's ragged breaths. The master bedroom door swung open violently. Marcus stood in the doorway. The warmth was gone from his eyes, replaced by a cold, hard shock. He had seen everything. His fiancée, his beautiful, perfect fiancée, holding a maid captive, about to brand her with a hot iron. He shouted, "Celeste, what in God's name are you doing?" Celeste froze. Her eyes were wide with surprise. The mask of rage quickly slipped back into place, replaced by a practiced smile. She dropped Alara's wrist as if it were hot coal. Alara crumpled to the floor, sobbing quietly. Celeste's voice instantly turned sweet and innocent. She said, "Marcus, darling, thank goodness you're here. This clumsy girl just ruined my dress. Look at what she did." She gestured dramatically to the charred gown on the floor. Marcus's eyes went from the dress to Alara cowering on the floor, and then back to his fiancée. He wasn't buying the innocent act. He saw her true face for a split second. He said he saw her holding that iron and asked what she was going to do. Celeste stammered, her smile faltering, saying she was just teaching her a lesson. She asked if he knew how much that dress cost and how this would make her look and them look. She said the press would have a field day. Marcus ignored her. He walked over to Alara and knelt down beside her. He gently helped her to her feet. He asked if she was okay and if Celeste had hurt her. Alara, shaking and unable to look him in the eye, said she was fine and apologized again about the dress. She said it was an accident and offered to pay for it or work for free for the rest of her life, begging him not to have her arrested. Marcus's face softened. He looked at the dress, then at the curling iron, and finally at Celeste. He saw the ruined dress not as a property loss, but as a symbol of something else entirely. Celeste snapped, her voice high and petulant, calling Alara a liar and saying she did it on purpose out of jealousy. She demanded Marcus call the police and arrest her. Something in Marcus finally snapped. He turned to face Celeste. The illusion of the perfect, beautiful fiancée was gone. He saw a cruel, petty tyrant. He remembered other small signs, the way she spoke to waiters, the way she treated the staff, the little digs she used to make at him. He had ignored them all. He said quietly but firmly, "No, Celeste. I'm not going to arrest her. I'm calling off the engagement." The words hung in the air like a bomb. Celeste's face went completely white. She looked like she'd been slapped. She laughed nervously and called him ridiculous, saying it was absurd to end things over a maid and a dress. Marcus shook his head. He pulled out his phone and typed a message. He showed the screen to Alara, not to Celeste. It was a text to his security team. He said he wasn't being hysterical. He was seeing her for the first time, and he didn't like what he saw. He said she was about to physically assault a young woman because of an accident, willing to scar her for life to protect her ego. He told her that wasn't a woman he wanted to spend his life with, and certainly not one he wanted to marry. Celeste's eyes welled up with crocodile tears. She tried to reach out to him, pleading that she loved him and they were a team. She said they could fix this and asked him to think about the gala, the merger, and their image. Marcus stepped away from her. He looked at Alara, whose tears were now of relief and gratitude. Then he looked at Celeste, whose carefully constructed world was collapsing around her. He said he was done thinking about their image and the corporation. He was thinking about what it meant to be a decent human being, and she had just shown him she wasn't one. A gentle knock came on the door. 2 security guards, professional and stoic, stepped into the room. Marcus nodded at them. They looked at Celeste. Marcus instructed them to escort Miss Vance out of the building, stating she was no longer welcome there and to have someone pack her things. Celeste screamed, her composure finally gone, telling Marcus he couldn't do this and that he would regret it. She threatened to ruin him and tell everyone he hit her. Her voice faded as the guards firmly, but respectfully, guided her out of the room. The sound of her screaming echoed down the hall until it finally faded away. Marcus turned back to Alara. She was still trembling, hugging her arms. The room was now silent except for her quiet sniffles. He told her it was over, and she was safe. Alara looked up at him, her eyes red and puffy. She thanked him but said she couldn't afford to pay for the dress. She explained her sister had a terminal illness and she needed every penny for her treatment. She was just trying to make ends meet. Marcus's expression softened. He looked at the ruined dress on the floor, a symbol of his broken engagement and a future he just escaped. He walked over to a desk, pulled out his checkbook and wrote something. He tore off the check and handed it to Alara. He told her to take it, cover her sister's medical bills, and use the rest to buy herself a new uniform. He said she'd more than earned it. Alara took the check. Her eyes nearly bulged out of her head. The amount was astronomical. She looked at him, speechless. She said it was far too much and she couldn't accept it. It was her fault. Marcus smiled for the first time and told her it wasn't her fault. She was just in the wrong place at the wrong time. But she also showed him something he needed to see. She showed him who the real monster was in this room, and it wasn't her. He extended his hand. She hesitated, then took it. His handshake was warm and firm. He introduced himself and asked for her name. A weak, but genuine smile finally broke through as she said she was Alara. Just Alara. Marcus laughed, a genuine, warm laugh. He asked if she would like to get some dinner, saying he'd had enough of galas for one night. The final image was of the 2 of them leaving the penthouse. The opulent, cold, and perfect world was behind them. In front of them was a simple, warm, and promising future. The ruined Valentino dress lay on the floor, no longer a symbol of triumph, but a symbol of a discarded, toxic past. Sometimes, the greatest accidents reveal the truth we were too blind to see. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel for more incredible tales. And let us know in the comments below, what would you have done if you were in Marcus's shoes? Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.